Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something that most folks won't say out loud. Men don't fall in love the way you think we do. When people think about how men fall in love, the first thought usually goes to physical attraction. And yes, men are visual creatures, no doubt about it. We notice beauty. That's often what gets our attention in the first place. But here's the truth. Most people miss beauty might catch a man's eye, but peace is what captures his heart. Beauty is loud. It shows up quick, turns heads, makes a statement. But peace is quiet. It's soft. It's subtle. And it's powerful. See, a man can find beauty on any corner, in any scroll, on any screen. But peace is rare. Real peace is priceless. It's the kind of calm that wraps around you after a long day when life's been hitting you from every angle. It's the silence that feels like safety, not distance. It's the way a woman listens without judging, speaks without attacking, and understands without trying to fix everything. That's the kind of presence that sticks with a man. That's the kind of energy that makes him want to stay. Men live in a world of pressure. Pressure to provide, to lead, to never show weakness. From the moment we step outside, we're dealing with battles, bosses, bills, expectations, disappointments, and our own silent struggles we don't talk about. So when a man comes home or picks up the phone and hears peace on the other end, that's medicine. That's healing. That's love in its most unexpected form. Peace doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean a woman never gets upset, never challenges him, or always agrees. Peace means that even in disagreement, there's respect. Even in conflict, there's calm. It's the ability to navigate life together without turning every problem into a war. It's knowing that home, whether that's a place or a person, feels better than the rest of the world. That kind of peace makes a man protective. It makes him want to give more, do more, be more, just to keep that energy close. And let's not forget, men notice the difference. A man can tell when he's in the presence of chaos versus the presence of peace. One drains him, the other fills him. And over time, he'll start gravitating toward whatever gives him rest. He may not always be able to explain it. He might not use words like emotional safety or energy balance, but he knows how he feels around you. He knows if his shoulders relax, if his tone softens, if his guard comes down. He knows if being around you feels like fighting or feels like breathing. Men are taught from a young age to be strong, to hold it together, to never let anyone see them sweat. We're taught to walk it off, suck it up, and keep going no matter what. So what happens? Over time, we start locking up all those feelings, fear, doubt, pain, even love, behind layers of toughness. Not because we don't feel, but because we've been conditioned to believe that showing those emotions makes us weak. And that right there is why a man's vulnerability is one of the most protected parts of him. He don't hand that over lightly. A man's vulnerability isn't something he shows to just anyone. It's guarded like something sacred. When he meets someone new, especially someone he's interested in, he might put on a show at first. Confidence, charm, strength, jokes, all of that. But behind all that is a question he's quietly asking himself. Can I trust this woman with the softest part of me? He might not say it out loud, but it's always in the back of his mind. Because truth be told, most men have been burned before. Trusted the wrong person, opened up to someone who used it against them later, or got laughed at for simply being real. So now he protects it. Trust is the key that unlocks that vault. And it's not earned in a day. A woman earns the trust not through grand gestures, but through consistency, through how she handles his silence, his flaws, his honesty. It's in the way she listens when he's finally ready to talk, in how she reacts when he admits he's tired or unsure. It's in how she holds him up without tearing him down. A man needs to know that his weakness in her hands won't be turned into a weapon later. See, a man doesn't need a fixer. He doesn't need someone to tell him what he should be doing all the time. He needs someone who makes space for him to be human. Someone who sees beyond the image he projects and is patient enough to sit with the man underneath it all. Because once he feels safe enough to take off the mask, and she doesn't flinch when he does, that's when something shifts. That's when he starts letting her in, slowly, piece by piece. Vulnerability is a process for a man. He'll drop little hints, share a story here, open up a little more there. And each time she handles it right, he goes a little deeper. He starts to feel like he doesn't have to carry the world alone anymore. That maybe, just maybe, he can finally stop pretending he's got it all figured out. And that's when real love has a chance to grow. Because once he feels safe, once he knows he's not going to be judged, ridiculed, or misunderstood, he starts to show up as his full self. Not the version he thinks she wants, but the real him, the man behind the armor. Love doesn't show up for a man the first time he sees a woman or hears her laugh. It doesn't hit him when she wears something nice or posts the right picture. Love for a man starts quietly. It begins in the background, often before he even realizes what's happening. And it always starts with one thing: how he feels when he's around her. Not what she does for him, not how she looks, but how she makes him feel inside his own skin. That's the foundation. Most men are not walking around thinking, I want to fall in love today. We're thinking about our responsibilities, our goals, what we need to get done. Love, in the way we talk about it, seems like a luxury, a soft thing. But when a woman walks into our life and makes us feel something different, something calm, something genuine, we start to notice. Not in a loud, dramatic way, in a subtle one. It's in the way we relax when she walks into the room. It's in the way our tone changes when we talk to her. It's in the way we find ourselves wanting to be near her without really knowing why. Men are used to keeping their guards up. We deal with pressure, criticism, and expectations daily. And because of that, we often carry emotional armor without even realizing it. But the moment a man feels emotionally safe, something shifts. Emotional safety is not about her agreeing with everything he says. It's not about her being quiet or submissive. It's about her being present, non-judgmental, and real. It's knowing that if he shares something raw, she won't use it against him later. It's knowing that if he fails, she won't walk away. That kind of safety is rare and powerful. When a man feels emotionally safe, his entire energy changes. He starts opening up, not all at once, but in layers. He stops performing and starts being. He stops guarding his every word and starts speaking freely. And once that starts happening, the connection deepens. Because now love has room to grow. It's not competing with fear, pride, or ego. It's growing in trust and comfort. That emotional safety creates space for vulnerability, and vulnerability is where intimacy lies. Men don't need 1,000 compliments. We need to feel understood. We need to feel that we can mess up and not be discarded. We need to feel that we're seen, not just as providers, protectors, or workers, but as people, as men with pasts, with hopes, with insecurities we don't always know how to explain. When a woman makes room for that without pushing, when she gives him the freedom to just be, that's when he starts falling. Not for what she gives him or how she looks, but for how she makes him feel like he's enough, like he's valued, like he doesn't have to earn love. It's just there. Loyalty means more to a man than most people realize. It's not just about staying faithful in a relationship. It's about showing up, standing by him, and choosing him over and over again, especially when life gets rough. For a man, love doesn't fully bloom until he sees loyalty in action. It's one thing to say you love him, but it's another to ride with him when things aren't going well, when he's struggling, when he's doubting himself, and you're still right there saying, I got you. That's the moment a man starts to fall in love for real. Loyalty is about consistency, not just in words, but in actions. A man watches how a woman handles his lows, how she responds when he's not at his best, how she treats him when he's quiet, when he doesn't have answers, when life has knocked him down a peg. A woman who stays steady in those moments stands out, not because she fixes everything, but because she doesn't flinch. She doesn't start comparing him to other people. She doesn't make him feel small. She reminds him who he is, even when he's forgotten it himself. When a man sees that a woman's loyalty isn't based on his income, his success, or what he can provide, it does something to his heart. It tells him, she's here for me, not just the version of me that's winning, but the version that's working through it. And that's rare. Too often, men feel like they have to be perfect just to be loved. But real loyalty says, you don't have to be perfect, just be real. That kind of support builds trust, and trust is what love grows from. Men also pay attention to how a woman speaks about them when they're not around. Does she defend him? Does she respect him in public the same way she does in private? A loyal woman protects her man's name, his reputation, and his spirit. She doesn't tear him down to her friends. She doesn't use his flaws as punchlines. She covers him even when he's not in the room. That's a quiet kind of strength that men don't forget. Loyalty is also about patience. It's understanding that love takes time, that growth isn't instant, and that relationships go through seasons. A woman who's in it for the long haul isn't chasing perfection. She's invested in progress. She knows there will be storms, but she also knows her presence is part of the shelter. That kind of mindset creates security, and security allows a man to stop living in defense mode. He starts to relax, open up, and lean in because he knows she's not going anywhere when things get tough. And it's not about blind loyalty. It's not about ignoring red flags or letting things slide that shouldn't. It's about standing firm in commitment, having honest conversations, and choosing to work through issues instead of walking away at the first sign of difficulty. That kind of loyalty is love in motion. It's the quiet, steady force that keeps a man grounded when everything else is uncertain. Respect is the oxygen of a man's heart. It's not just something he wants. It's something he needs in order to love deeply. Without respect, love doesn't stand a chance. You can have affection, attraction, even shared goals, but if a man doesn't feel respected, he won't fully open up. Respect to a man is what water is to a plant. It allows him to grow, to feel safe, and to truly give himself to someone. It doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says or blindly following his lead. It means valuing who he is, how he thinks, and what he's trying to become. When a man is respected, he stands taller. He feels like he can take on the world. And that feeling, that sense of being backed by someone who sees his worth, that's what draws him in. It's not about inflating his ego or stroking his pride. It's about acknowledging his effort, honoring his journey, and trusting his decisions. A man knows when a woman believes in him, and that belief is powerful. It gives him the confidence to keep building, to keep pushing, to keep leading, because he knows she's not just watching, she's with him. Respect is shown in the little things. It's in the way a woman speaks to him, especially when she's upset. It's in whether she corrects him to prove a point or encourages him to learn and grow. It's in how she supports his ambitions, even if they're still in the dream phase. A woman doesn't have to understand every detail of his vision to support it. Sometimes just saying, "I believe in you," hits harder than anything else. Men remember who stood beside them in the early stages when nothing was certain and the road was unclear. It's also about space. Respect gives a man room to think, to lead, to fail, and to try again. A woman who respects a man doesn't micromanage him. She trusts that even if he makes a mistake, he's capable of finding his way. That trust shows him she's not trying to control him. She's trying to build with him. That difference means everything. It allows the relationship to feel like a partnership, not a power struggle. Respect also shows up in public. How she talks about him in front of others, how she introduces him, how she responds when someone criticizes him. All of it matters. A man might not say it, but he notices. If a woman speaks life into him when others are throwing shade, if she protects his name when he's not around, that loyalty mixed with respect hits different. It creates a bond that goes deeper than surface love. Men aren't always looking for praise, but they are listening for tone. A respectful tone can soften even the hardest moment. It can turn a disagreement into a conversation. It can pull him closer instead of pushing him away. When a man feels respected, he starts to feel safe. And when he feels safe, he gives more, he invests more, he stays. Because he's not just being loved, he's being honored. Every man walks through life carrying a version of himself that he hopes to become. It might be the successful businessman, the loving father, the respected leader, the dependable partner, whatever his personal vision looks like. Even if he doesn't talk about it out loud, it lives inside him. It drives his decisions, his hustle, his quiet moments of frustration. The world is constantly telling him what he's not, what he's lacking, how far he still has to go. That's why when a woman comes into his life and believes in who he's becoming, not just who he is right now, it hits deep. Belief is a powerful thing. A woman who can look at a man and say, "I see more in you than what's in front of me," gives him something nobody else does. She gives him vision. She becomes a mirror reflecting back the greatness he's been trying to reach. And sometimes the greatness he forgot was even there. That belief doesn't just boost his confidence. It settles his spirit. It tells him he's not alone in the fight. It tells him someone sees the work he's putting in, even if the results haven't shown up yet. Men aren't always vocal about needing support, but they feel the difference when it's there. When a woman celebrates his small wins, reminds him of his potential during setbacks, and speaks life into his ideas, he starts to lean in. He starts to open up more, share more, and trust more. That belief becomes a fuel that drives him to keep going even when things get tough. Because now he's not just working for himself. He's working for the future they both can see. It's not about fixing him. It's not about molding him into someone else. It's about seeing the value in who he is right now, while also encouraging the man he's trying to become. A woman's belief doesn't mean blind praise or ignoring flaws. It means knowing he's not perfect, but treating him with the same level of faith and respect you would give to someone already at the finish line. That kind of belief makes a man rise. It makes him want to do better, not out of fear of losing her, but out of gratitude for being truly seen. And belief is loudest when things are quiet. It's in those moments when his plan fails, when the job falls through, when he questions everything. A woman who still says, "I know you'll bounce back," isn't just offering comfort, she's reinforcing identity. She's telling him that setbacks don't change how she sees him, that even when he's at his lowest, her view of his worth doesn't shift. That steady, unwavering belief creates emotional safety, and from that safety, love begins to grow deeper. A man who feels believed in is a man who feels supported at the core. That support stays with him. It shapes how he loves, how he shows up, and how he commits. Because once he feels believed in, he starts to believe in the relationship. And more importantly, he starts to believe in himself all over again. Men express love differently than what's often portrayed in movies or talked about in conversations. For a lot of men, love isn't something they say every 5 minutes. It's something they do. While words matter, action is the language where a man's love speaks the loudest. It's in the way he shows up, in the way he protects, provides, supports, and sacrifices. For a man, love is proven, not promised. And when he truly loves someone, he doesn't just talk about it. He lives it. A man might not always say, "I love you," in the most romantic way, but he'll make sure the car's got gas. He'll fix the things around the house. He'll remember the little details that matter to you. He'll drive across town just to spend 10 minutes with you after a long day. He'll check in not to control you, but because he cares where you are and if you're good. These acts might seem small or routine, but to him, they're the purest expressions of how he feels. That's the thing. When a man's in love, his pride softens. He starts putting someone else's needs before his own. He starts making room in his world for you, not because he has to, but because he wants to. A man in love will change his routine, sacrifice sleep, spend time and energy, sometimes things he doesn't even have much of, just to bring you peace, to make you smile, or to let you know you matter. That's how he says, "I love you," without always using the words. A man's love also shows in how he protects what matters to him, not just physically, but emotionally. He'll defend you, stand up for you, make sure you're not alone in your battles. He becomes a provider of comfort, of safety, of security. And when you're hurting, even if he doesn't know exactly what to say, he'll sit with you, hold you, or simply make sure you're not hurting alone. His instinct is to fix, to solve, to make things better, not because he thinks you can't handle it, but because that's how he handles love. And sometimes his actions are quiet. They show up in his patience when you're stressed, in his silence when you need space, in his forgiveness when you've had a bad day, and snap. He doesn't always need a spotlight for what he does. His reward is knowing you're good, knowing he's contributed to your happiness in some way. That's when he feels most like a man, when he can take care of the person he loves, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually too. Even when he's not great with words, he's listening, he's watching, he's remembering the things you said in passing and surprising you later with a solution, a gift, or a change you didn't ask for. He pays attention, not because he has to, but because love sharpens his focus. Love makes him intentional. And when a man becomes intentional, when he's all in, his actions will tell you everything his mouth might not.